Hey guys, so today I'm gonna talk about Oregon Senator Ron Wyden and his speech and discussion about how he's been making calls for the release of the Epstein documents slash files. So a big reason why I'm doing this because I've been talking about the Epstein files like everyone else for a few months. It's being a big topic because Trump made a whole campaign about this. And today I specifically made this video because a fan of ours XYZ12345457 requested us to make a video about this. So I'm just going to shout out to them. And that's another reason why I'm making this video specifically about Oregon Senator Ron Wyden. So, Oregon Senator Ron Wyden has been asking for the release of the Epstein files. There's been some connection also between Russia and Epstein, potentially regarding money transfer between Russia and Jeffrey Epstein. So potentially the files could have more of the information. So that's something that I think not a lot of people are talking about, and that's something that a fan mentioned that hey, you should talk about this because not a lot of people are talking about it. So I thought it was interesting too. So I'm thinking, why not? So in this article, Wyden urges a follow the money approach around the disgraced financier. While President Donald Trump has urged his supporters to move on from the massive sex trafficking scandal around disgraced financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, of course, many of them don't want to. The problem is Trump did this to him. This did this to himself, because in 2024, Trump made a campaign promise to release all Epstein files, no matter what, unredacted. And then he did a 180 this year and kept acting super suspicious that made him look and sound and potentially be part of the Epstein list, the client list, which would be much worse than just being named in the files. Because we know that was good friends with Jeffrey Epstein for decades. But the way he behaves, he makes it sound like he's really a pedophile as well. Very suspicious behavior, and now he's claiming there's a Democrat hoax. I'm like, why would you do this? And then Mike Johnson is claiming that, oh, Trump was just an informant. He was helping the FBI. Even if that was true, which I 100% don't believe it is, but even if it was true, if he's an informant, that means he did something wrong and they have evidence on him. Probably something related to pedophilia, and that's why they potentially could help the FBI to go after Epstein. But I highly doubt he was an informant. Trump doesn't do anything that would not benefit him. And being informant could potentially, in the long term, be causing an issue for him. But anyway, there's something he promised that he has not kept a promise, which is a big issue. A lot of people have been complaining. This website, this is also this article specifically from opb.org is from July 18, 2025. Definitely a lot of people have been talking about this specific situation, but it makes sense to follow the money. So after looking through the bank records, Wyden said his staff found more than 4,725 wire transfers adding up to more than $1 billion going in and out of Epstein's bank accounts. Evidence Epstein used multiple Russian banks to process payments related to sex trafficking. A lot of the women he targeted came from Russia, Belarus, Turkey, and Turkmenistan, according to Wyden's statements. Wyden said he was also trying to hold Trump accountable to his campaign promise. In addition to always working to be responsive to Oregonians, sorry about that, not pronouncing the best, questions along with having zero tolerance for child sex trafficking also strive to hold presidents accountable. So a lot of people in Oregon, the Oregonians, or whatever you say it, they've been not just them, but in general, especially the conservative crowd, been wanting Trump to just release the Epstein files, which is fair because he made that promise in 2024. That's a big reason why people vote for him as well. Arguably speaking, seems like it. At least the MAGA co-members felt like that was a big reason. But they'll probably make excuses for in behalf of Trump to still keep following him and do whatever they can to protect them. Even though they don't make money out of this, or even though he's been screwing them over anyway, unless they're rich. And which most of his supporters are not rich. So I just thought this was an interesting point. Now, this is from the Senate.gov website, and they mentioned about Wyden here video, which I also will check out soon. As Trump downplays Epstein, Wyden unveils details of Treasury's undisclosed Epstein file. So July 17, 2025. Yeah, not a lot of people are talking about specifically the money transfers with the different Russian accounts, Russian bank accounts that Epstein used, which is a lot of money. Probably because Epstein had many connections with people, and it's hard to prove that information. And a lot of people who have connection with Epstein were rich, wealthy people. We talk about multimillionaires, billionaires, people who are really wealthy, who probably did a lot of illegal, disgusting things towards children, aka probably raped a lot of children, unfortunately. Hundreds of millions more followed through other accounts. Yeah, this is basically what I just said in the other websites. The same thing, but in the .gov website. So everything's gonna be in my description, so you guys can also check out these both articles. So you guys can really see and look into it. But this base talks about the same thing I discussed in the previous link. I may or may not watch this whole video. This is from Ron Wyden YouTube account from a month ago, some more around August. I'm gonna leave the captions on just in case so people can read it, because I might not have the best sound right now.
Donald Trump has made some far-fetched statements over the last few months, but a stunner in the last few days was his claim that the Jeffrey Epstein matter was a hoax and a scam.
But the thing is, Trump claimed that was real, especially in 2024. Now he's claiming it's a hoax. That scam is a Democrat hoax. The Democrats created the Epstein files. Now he's going to claim that if anyone says that, my bureau, they keep pressuring him to release it, then he tries to go after them, do something to shut them up. Whether they're reporters or his own constituents, which is actually everyone, because we all are Trump's constituents. He's supposed to represent every U.S. citizen and resident, not just Republicans. Even though Trump thinks that he's only supposed to assist or help out Republicans, that's not the job of the president or Congress. Congress represents everyone in the country. The U.S. Supreme Court is supposed to be more of an individual branch that supports the Constitution itself, and they interpret the Constitution accurately, and they haven't been doing that. They've been assisting Trump and his dictator grasp that he's been trying to achieve with his fascist methods. But that's a whole other thing.
Why the president is wrong. The figure at the center of this story was an ultra-rich, well-connected sex trafficker. He was a serial rapist of women and young girls. And for some reason, the Trump administration, they claimed they'd be the most transparent administration ever, turned on a dime. The president had run on a campaign with a promise to expose the Epstein files.
He's correct. Trump promised that. He's supposed to be the most transparent administration in U.S. history, and it's the complete opposite. They're not transparent at all.
Now he and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, say, nope, nothing to investigate. When it comes to Epstein and sex trafficking, all these claims are just ludicrous. I want the American people to know that that's wrong. If you want to know why, just look at the latest report from our investigators that was discussed in the New York Times this morning. Now, somewhere in the Treasury Department, Mr. President, locked away in a cabinet drawer, is a big Epstein file that's full of actionable information. Follow the money details about his financing and operations that await investigation. Last year, the Biden administration allowed our investigators to look at portions of the file. We did that at the Treasury building. Here is what it says.
So basically, he's gonna discuss. I'm gonna assume because I didn't watch this video yet, but he's probably gonna discuss what I just said in those two articles. I just summarized basically what the video will be about.
Treasury's Epstein file details, Mr. President, 4,725 wire transfers. Let me repeat that. 4,725 wire transfers, adding up to nearly $1.1 billion flowing in and out of just one of Mr. Epstein's bank accounts. If you ask me, that is more than 4,000 potential lines of investigation right there.
Correct. He's not wrong.
Hundreds of millions more flowed through other accounts. That's even a lot more to investigate. The file shows that Mr. Epstein used multiple Russian banks, which are now under sanctions, to process payments related to sex trafficking. A lot of the women and girls he targeted came from Russia, Belarus, Turkey, and elsewhere.
Yeah, he really went after Belarus, Turkey, Russia. A lot of those people were girls who were really sex trafficked, and they were poor, yeah, because they come from poor backgrounds, so they're easy target. It's very easy to sex traffic girls and women who don't really have much, don't have parents, or parents can sell them illegally, so they get sex trafficked because of that. It's a sad situation that happens to a lot of poor people.
One shudders to think about the kinds of people who must have been involved in trafficking these women and young girls out of those companies and into the Epstein web of abuse. Again, these are all potential leads, Mr. President, the Department of Justice ought to be digging into. This is about years and years of international sex trafficking. None of this is a hoax. None of it is a scam. And I'd like to say I consider it insulting to the intelligence of the American people for the Trump administration to simply say there is nothing to investigate here. Now,
Which is really messed up because it just further shows that Trump is just gonna keep lying, even to the people who voted for him.
the Trump administration came in with a lot of fanfare about transparency and openness, I said, I'm going to follow up on that. So I wrote to the Attorney General, Ms. Bondi, Treasury Secretary Bessent, FBI Director Patel, and I asked them all to produce the Epstein file to the Senate Finance Committee so it could be reviewed. In fact, I've made that request multiple times. Trump's commitment to transparency based on the response didn't mean a whole lot because they just refused.
That's the thing. If you're really innocent, why would you refuse to provide the Epstein files, unredacted and unaltered? Doesn't make sense. It only shows that you are in the files, not just because you just named, but because you're probably part of the so-called Epstein client list. So most likely because you're a pedophile, and instead of just doing the right thing and locking away the pedophiles, you're protecting them, including Trump himself. Again, if that's not the case, don't do what Trump does. Be very suspicious. Don't want to hide it, claim it's a hoax, even though in 2024 you didn't say it was a hoax, and that you're going to release all the file unredacted. Doesn't make sense.
Here's what one Treasury official wrote back to me. I'll quote here. Department of Treasury has previously made documents available relating to the matter in response to your inquiries. Accordingly, we understand that you have the information you seek from the Treasury related to this request. We thank you for your attention to this important issue. Mr. President, for anybody who's familiar with how these discussions go in Washington, D.C., what I just read was code for the bureaucracy saying, you're asking for information, go pound sand. Trump administration may be trying to close the books on the Epstein sex trafficking. But I want it understood as a senior member of the Senate Finance Committee, where we spend a lot of time looking at where substantial sums of money are going, particularly if they may be promoting wrongdoing and helping to evade taxes. We are going to stay on this fight to hold the wealthy individuals accountable for the harm that they clearly were involved in injuring the young women and others in this sex trafficking.
Yeah, this should be a no-brainer. Nobody should be hiding the evidence or Epstein files. They all should be working together. This should be a very easy thing to go through, and sure it been done a long time ago. And this is something that could make any president look good by just being transparent and make sure they're not changing anything, destroying as is. The fact that the Trump administration is doing the opposite, even though they said they wouldn't do the opposite, that they would be transparent and make sure they show undisclosed, unredacted, unaltered Epstein files. Again, you're contradicting yourself and you're lying to the people who voted for you and to the rest of the American people that you also represent.
So I'm going to have more follow-up for Attorney General Bundy very quickly. As for today, Mr. President, if she doesn't want to do the investigating, doesn't want the DOJ to do it, let me just restate my original demand. Have that Treasury information given to the Senate Finance Committee and have us on a bipartisan basis do our work. That's what we do in important investigations. If the Trump people believe they need additional authority to carry out the requests that I make again this afternoon, let me offer to help them write the bill myself. The idea that there is nothing more to investigate, not when you have 4,000 wire transfers, many of them associated with the possibility of wrongdoing and sex traffic promoting. The idea that you
Yeah, again, this is just really pathetic on the Trump administration side to try so hard to protect really Trump. Because again, if you want to be transparent, you want to be good to your constituents, you want to demonstrate to the people of the United States that you really are going to be the best of the best administration, and you're there for the people. You don't protect pedophiles. And for the people who might say, "Oh, what if they had the names of Democrats?" I don't give two shits. Who cares what political party uh, these potential people could be part of or affiliated with? Who cares? Who cares if they're Republicans, Democrats? I don't care what political party they're part of or affiliated with. Whatever they are, if they are part of any political party or affiliated with any political party, shouldn't matter. If they are part of a whole sex trafficking organization that have been kidnapping and raping children and women and selling them as sex slaves, they should be prosecuted to the highest possible level in the law. Charging with the highest criminal act and make sure they're fully prosecuted and be in prison for life. That should be obvious. The only people I've been seeing that really care so much about, oh, what if they're part of this political party, are Republicans. They're the only ones who care so deeply. It's like they're trying to protect a pedophile. If if Trump is further proving more directly that he's a pedophile, why do you care? If he's not, let him show the unredacted and unaltered Epstein files. Shouldn't be changed. I don't see why this is a big deal, unless you yourself are a pedophile. And so your mind, you're like, if Trump gets caught, then all the pedophiles who don't have the money and power can get caught, and they're gonna be facing even harsher punishment. That's the only thing I can think of. You're protecting pedophiles. That's really it. That's exactly what Trump is doing because he's protecting himself and all the pedophiles.
have that, and there's nothing to investigate when it comes to the Epstein sex trafficking operation is ridiculous. Pam Bondi was the Attorney General in the state of Florida, where a lot of the Epstein crimes were committed. Attorney General ought to know better, of all people. President.
And Pam Bundy, she's a complete bullshit. She's trying so hard to protect Trump and try to just bullshit the people of the United States, American citizens and residents. And you can see the stress on some of the Trump administration members, but at the same time, they want the power. They want that power, the authority, control over the people. And if they can keep it, that's what they care about in the end. Not every single one that read that stressed out. JD Vance's on vacation all the time, just like Trump. But some that really look who are trying to really protect Trump and save face, they're probably more stressed out. But again, they're just as evil as Trump and the rest of the administration.
I can't begin to understand the president's handling of this or why he thinks this is just going to go away. But I'm here to say that our investigators have spent 3 full years looking into this. And the reason why is because we feel so strongly about the horror of sex trafficking and our commitment to root it out. The President of the Senate is new to this body, but I'm sure he's dealt with these issues before. You can't have a much bigger horror in front of you than sex trafficking.
I agree with him, especially when it's sex trafficking related, related to children, and that's just really sad.
Yes. So we're talking about real evil done to women and girls by Jeffrey Epstein. And Mr. President, nobody gets to sweep that under the rug. I yield the floor.
Yeah, I respect him because this is really hard to do. And he's really trying so hard to get the truth out there too. And Trump just doesn't care. And the rest of his administration doesn't care. And it's really sad. People should really look into this. This is a big deal. And it's hard because having a president who doesn't follow the law, doesn't follow the Constitution, contradicts, and actually violates the Constitution almost on a daily basis, refuses to follow court orders, even from the U.S. Supreme Court itself, is demonstrate that yeah, he should be impeached. That should be the end of the story, right? Even besides the Epstein files and allegations against Trump, that's regardless of it. He already violated the Constitution several times, especially the due process rights of the Constitution that provides to everyone, and the First Amendment rights also. He, in particular, violated those several times, just this year alone, and that's a whole other issue. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this video of Senator Ron Wyden, and if you agree with him that the money transfer between Russia and Epstein is probably related to sex trafficking of children and women. And if you don't, let me know why. There is some evidence of that, and that's what they've been investigating to Trump administration stop it. But you got to follow the money. Simple as that. If you want to disagree that this is not what they should be doing, they should just ignore and forget about the Epstein files. Doesn't matter anymore. I want to know why too. I think it matters. If anyone, especially the president, is a pedophile, they should not be in power. They should not have those type of position. And they're elected officials. So we the people should be able to elect someone who is representing us in a fair and proper manner, not in a legal, creepy manner, using tax dollars money to cover the ass from due to committing many crimes. They're trying to just put all those crimes under the rug. I think that's wrong. But if you like this video, like and subscribe. If you watch this on TikTok, follow us on TikTok, and you can support us on Patreon. All right, guys. Have a good night.